Donald Trump needs to be removed from office, even if this is a threat and he doesn't plan on following through. It shows the utter contempt and inhumanity that Trump, the Democrats just using procedural language. We need to say this is a moral crime. We need to call for his removal, and we need to stand up for American principles, which is the equality and dignity of every human life.
Death to all Americans, death to America. This is terrorist language. And I'm just astonished that Donald Trump would post this publicly and expect there to be no legal fallout from that whatsoever.
This is not who America is. If you believe in a nation that has been influenced by Christian teaching, how can you be for these kind of posts on Easter Sunday? If you believe in a nation that has been influenced by Locke and Rousseau and Enlightenment ideals, Trump is making a mockery of everything that makes America exceptional. But fortunately, he's a chapter that is going to be soon in the past.
So Donald Trump went on Truth Social, on Easter Sunday, by the way, and posted about obliterating an entire civilization. 90 million people, an entire country, just wiped off the map. And the reaction from his own side? Even Robert O'Neill, the Navy SEAL who killed bin Laden, is saying, hold on, this is too far. Tucker Carlson is going off on him. Marjorie Taylor Greene is calling for the 25th Amendment. And you've got Ro Khanna on Piers Morgan, basically saying what everyone's thinking, but Democrats are too scared to say out loud. This man is a threat to everything America claims to stand for. And here's the thing. Legal experts are already saying just the threat itself, just posting about wiping out 90 million people, could be a war crime under international law. So watch what happens when Piers asks Ro Khanna why Trump would even say something like this. Let's get into it.
And who killed Osama bin Laden, even he is very uncomfortable with the language being used here. I think that is a view shared by many in the American military. Why is Donald Trump doing this? Who is he appealing to with this kind of language?
Well, Donald Trump needs to be removed from office, even if this is a threat and he doesn't plan on following through. It shows the utter contempt and inhumanity that Trump views people in Iran or in the Middle East or in the developing world with. It's not the American way of valuing the dignity and life of every individual. I mean, he's calling them animals. That's the same thing Gallant said about the Palestinians. He has a fuel blockade on Cuba, starving people there because he doesn't care about their life. And now he's talking about civilization annihilation. I am tired of the Democrats just using procedural language. We need to say this is a moral crime. We need to call for his removal, and we need to stand up for American principles, which is the equality and dignity of every human life. Those are Christian values. They're constitutional values.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing people who are more expert than me in the legal aspect of some of what he's saying. And they're saying that even signaling an intent to commit what he's suggesting, a whole civilization being killed, in other words, presumably every Iranian, 90 million people, even an American president signaling an intent to do that could be a war crime. It could already breach international law. Is that your understanding?
I do believe that. And this is what, of course, got Netanyahu's government into trouble with the ICJ and the UN. They had all of these ministers making statements of intent of treating people like animals, of starving them. And now you have Donald Trump echoing the same language. Look, Americans view ourselves as deeply good. We want to be a force for good in the world. We're the nation that defeated Nazism. We're the nation that defeated communism. We're the nation that goes in and rescues people when they have enemies attacking them. We're not a nation that is out there to destroy civilizations. It goes against the very essence of America's self-conception as a nation dedicated to equality and liberty and enlightenment and ideals. And Trump is doing something so corrosive to who we are as an American nation. I hope other Republicans will start to call for his removal.
Well, you know, I was telling Rob O'Neill, I watched a documentary about the killing of Osama bin Laden and that incredible raid. You know, al-Qaeda, his terrorist organization, this is the kind of language they would use about America. right? Death to all Americans, death to America. This is terrorist language. And I'm just astonished that Donald Trump would post this publicly and expect there to be no legal fallout from that whatsoever. I just want to move generally. There's a big split going on the Republican side of this. We're going to come to some clips later in the show from Tucker Carlson railing against Trump here. Marjorie Taylor Greene has attacked him, calling, like you have, the 25th Amendment to be implemented. So we cannot kill an entire civilization. This is evil and madness. One of the biggest cheerleaders for Trump has been Mark Levin, who has also taken time out to call you a Jew-hating, America-hating.
Look at what just happened there. Ro Khanna just laid out the entire moral case against Trump in like 3 minutes and didn't hedge once. Not one time did he soften it with both sides, or we need to have a conversation, or any of that Democratic establishment coward language. He called it what it is, a moral crime, removal level stuff. And he's exactly right. Because here's the thing about this. Trump didn't just say something reckless. He didn't just have a bad tweet. The man posted about annihilating an entire civilization. 90 million people on Easter Sunday, the same day Christians are supposed to be celebrating resurrection and life. He's out here talking about wiping Iran off the face of the earth. And Ro Khanna's point about the ICJ and Netanyahu is so on the money. Israel's ministers said similar things about Palestinians, treating them like animals, talking about starving them, and that got them dragged to the International Court of Justice. So why would Trump think he can post this with zero consequences? And dude, the fact that Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene are calling this out while most Democrats are silent, that should embarrass every single Democrat in Congress. Like, when you've lost Tucker Carlson on a war issue, when Marjorie Taylor Greene is invoking the 25th Amendment, you know you've gone too far. But where are Schumer and Pelosi? Where's the outrage from the party that's supposed to stand for human rights? Ro Khanna gets it. He understands that this isn't just bad politics. It's a fundamental betrayal of what America claims to be. We spent decades telling the world we're different. We're not an empire. We don't do ethnic cleansing. We defeated the Nazis, right? We're the good guys. And then Trump goes on social media and uses the exact same language terrorist organizations use. Death to all Iranians might as well be what he posted. That's al-Qaeda language. That's ISIS language. That's not American presidential language. And I love that Ro Khanna brought up the fact that there's a new generation coming that rejects all of this. Because that's the hope here. The old guard, the Mark Levins, the war hawks who lied us into Iraq, the neocons who made fortunes off the military-industrial complex, they're dying out. The new generation doesn't want forever wars. They don't want to spend trillions bombing countries most Americans can't find on a map, while people back home can't afford healthcare or rent. They want an America that actually lives up to its supposed values. But here's what really gets me. Trump knows better. He's not an idiot. He understands that posting about obliterating 90 million people is going to cause international outrage. He knows that signals intent under international law. He knows Navy SEALs and generals are going to push back. So why does he do it? Because his base eats it up. Because performative cruelty plays well with a certain segment of the MAGA base that's been trained to hate whoever Trump tells them to hate. Because Fox News and Newsmax will defend him no matter what he says. And because he knows most Democrats won't fight back hard enough to make it stick. That's the grift. That's always the grift. Say the most unhinged, cruel, authoritarian thing you can think of. Watch your base cheer. Watch the opposition stutter and equivocate, and then move on to the next outrage before anyone can hold you accountable. Rinse and repeat. But this time feels different. This time you've got his own side turning on him. You've got Tucker Carlson, who built his career defending Trump, saying this is too far. You've got Marjorie Taylor Greene calling for his removal. You've got a Navy SEAL who killed Osama bin Laden saying this language makes him uncomfortable. And you've got Ro Khanna going on national television and saying the thing Democrats should have been saying for years. This man is unfit and needs to be removed. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you think Trump actually believes this? Or is he just saying it because he knows his base loves tough guy military rhetoric? And do you think Democrats will finally grow a spine and call for his removal? Or are they going to keep doing the "we're concerned" routine while Trump runs for president again? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear what you think about this.
Also taken time out to call you a Jew-hating, America-hating demagogue, and says the media continuing to give you airtime as if you're some kind of legitimate politician is outrageous. I'm very happy to give you airtime. What is your response to Mark Levin?
Well, I had to Google who he was. I didn't know who he was. And then I looked up. I guess he's a blast from the past, someone who was cheerleading us into the Iraq War and this militarism. But he doesn't represent the new generation. And Piers, it's really important, I think, that people who watch your show around the world understand there is a new generation of Americans. We're tired of these wars. We want to build a cohesive multiracial democracy. We want an America where everyone has an economic shot, and we're going to come to power in 26 and 28. So for those who think that Trump is America, they're just wrong. It's a dying gasp at a nostalgia and a past that many of the new generation reject. And Levin represents the worst of that tradition, but he's kind of irrelevant. I mean, I almost shouldn't have responded. I gave him, probably now more people know him than ever knew him before. And I would pay attention to where the future of this country is.
How do you feel about the fact that you and Tucker Carlson are pretty well in total agreement about what is happening with the Republican president?
Well, I appreciate that Tucker has actually been speaking out against the war in Iran. I mean, he, as you know, interviewed Ted Cruz. Cruz didn't know there were 90 million people there. Tucker has said that these wars of choice in the Middle East are making America less safe. They're strengthening China. We should be focused on rebuilding our industry. We should be focused on our people, childcare, healthcare, and that this is not in America's interest. But he's gone further, as has Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is not who America is. If you believe in a nation that has been influenced by Christian teaching, how can you be for these kind of posts on Easter Sunday? If you believe in a nation that has been influenced by Locke and Rousseau and Enlightenment ideals, how can you believe that every human life doesn't have dignity? Of course, America first means we take care of our own people. It doesn't mean that you don't recognize the life and dignity of every human being. And so what Tucker is speaking about, or Marjorie Taylor Greene is speaking about, are basic understanding of American founding values. And Trump is making a mockery of everything that makes America exceptional. But fortunately, he is a chapter that is going to be soon in the past. I fundamentally believe we're going to become a cohesive multiracial democracy, and this will be seen as something that America overcame.
Congressman Ro Khanna, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
So here's the verdict. Ro Khanna absolutely dominated this. Not even close. He came in with a clear moral framework, didn't soften his language, didn't play the usual Democratic game of, we're disappointed, but he called it what it is. Trump posted about wiping out an entire civilization, and that's a war crime. Full stop. And he didn't just stop at Trump. He went after the entire old guard. The Mark Levins, the Iraq war cheerleaders, the militarists who've been dragging America into forever wars for decades while working people get nothing. And the most important thing he said, there's a new generation coming. A generation that's tired of this, tired of the wars, tired of the cruelty, tired of billionaires and corporate shills pretending to be populists while they sell out the working class. Tired of a politics that values punishment over people. And that generation is going to take power whether the old guard likes it or not. Because here's the bigger picture. Trump didn't just wake up one day and decide to post about annihilating Iran. This is who he's always been. The cruelty is the point. The dehumanization is the point. Whether it's Muslims, immigrants, trans people, protesters, whoever the villain of the week is, Trump's entire political strategy is built on making people hate someone else so they don't notice they're getting robbed blind. He passes tax cuts for billionaires while his voters are struggling to pay for insulin. He stacks the courts with corporate-friendly judges while claiming to fight the elites. He posts about obliterating entire countries while his base cheers because they've been trained to think that's what strength looks like. But it's not strength, it's cowardice. Real strength would be standing up to the pharmaceutical companies gouging Americans on drug prices. Real strength would be standing up to the fossil fuel billionaires destroying the planet. Real strength would be fighting for universal health care, higher wages, and a government that actually works for working people instead of the donor class. But Trump doesn't do any of that because his donors won't let him. So instead, he does the culture war rage bait. He does the performative cruelty. He does the "I'm tough on Iran" routine, while his billionaire buddies laugh all the way to the bank. And the saddest part? It works. It works because too many people don't follow the money. They don't ask who benefits. They don't ask why the richest country on earth can't provide healthcare to its own people, but can always find trillions for another war. They just get mad at whoever the TV tells them to be mad at. But like Ro Khanna said, that's changing. The new generation sees through it. They've grown up watching endless wars accomplish nothing. They've watched wages stagnate while CEO pay explodes. They've watched the planet burn while politicians who take fossil fuel money pretend climate change isn't real. And they're done with it. They're building a movement that actually fights for working people instead of just talking about it during election season. So if you're watching this and you're tired of the same old political theater, if you're tired of Democrats being too scared to call out fascism when they see it, if you're tired of Republicans wrapping themselves in the flag while selling out everything it's supposed to stand for, this is the kind of politics we need more of. Clear, moral vision. No hedging. No corporate apologetics. Just someone willing to say the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. That's what we do here at MB. We follow the money. We call out the grift. We hold everyone accountable. Left, right, center, doesn't matter. If you're serving the billionaire class instead of working people, we're coming for you. Hit that like button if you want to see more of this. Subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a comment and let me know who you think won this one. And share this with someone who needs to hear it. Stay sharp. I'll see you in the next one.